This is not just another golf podcast. This is Golf Underground. This is Golf Underground. We just happen to be the third funniest podcast in golf. We interview PGA Tour pros, Hall of Fame athletes, rock stars, business leaders. Sure, we talk about golf, but we have fun. All right, let's do it. Welcome to Golf Underground. Now your hosts, Wardo, Sully, and MLB Hall of Famer, George Brett.
Hey, welcome to Golf Underground, George, Wardo. We just had a nice pre-MLB start of the season tomorrow. Zach, it's Royals opening day tomorrow. So, Georgie, it's his day where he walks in there. You think the F1 guys are bigwigs when they walk into – you got to see this guy walking into Kauffman Stadium.
I've been to plenty of his games. I'm like the biggest baseball guy you'll ever meet, including we met – you're definitely not going to remember this. It would have been in the San Francisco All-Star game, which was 84.
Oh my God. Okay, go back.
Yeah.
I know that game. I remember hitting a home run, but I don't remember meeting you.
Yeah, well, I was like,
were you selling popcorn?
I was a little younger than you at the time.
Okay, so how did we meet in San Francisco?
I got your autograph. I was like a baseball junkie. I have actually got the best story ever on baseball. I'll give you briefly, which was Mickey Mantle. I was a big Mickey Mantle fan. So I find out he plays golf at Preston Trails Country Club. This was kind of like the start of my sales career. I'm 13 years old. So I call in every day. It's Mickey Mantle, Mickey Mantle, Mickey Mantle. 2 weeks go by and they go, hold on. And I have no appreciation for golf. No idea he's on the golf course. 15 minutes, comes back, picks up the phone. And I go, is this Mickey Mantle? And he starts swearing at me and hangs up the phone. And he thought it was a prank call. I go in my room, I'm crying. Mickey Mantle has just called me every name in the book. Tell my mom what happens. She calls him back. He just cussed out my kid. He felt terrible. He said, come to Dallas. You'll spend half a day with your kid. Got on a plane 3 days later, spent half a day with Mickey Mantle at the Hilton in Dallas, Texas when I was 13 years old. So I was one of those stalker fans. But that was
nice. Zach, how old are you?
53.
53. All right. Boys. So, and Mickey didn't have many years left of his life after he jumped.
This would have been around 84-ish time frame.
I think I told you guys this story. So Mickey liked the sauce a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like Oklahoma boy. And so he used to go to my dad's Irish pub in Waterbury, Connecticut. And the word on the street was that he was at the pub. And so my brother comes and picks me up and says, Mickey Mantle's here. So I go into the pub and I see Mickey Mantle and he's got a few in him. I walk over to him and I'm about 13 years old. And he says, sit on my lap.
I'm going to pull that off today.
He's got this leather vest on. He's all lit up. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. I guess I sit on Santa Claus's lap. It's Mickey Mantle, right? He says, who's your all-time favorite baseball player? And I was a Red Sox fan at the time. I said, well, certainly, Mr. Mantle, that's Ted Williams. Hey, get off my lap, you. So they were pretty close to the same age. So I think we sent him to his grave, Zach, is what I'm getting at.
Really, the first time we've talked since 1984.
Yep.
When I said, hey, leave me alone, kid. Get out of here. It's the All-Star game. I want to visit with some of these guys I play against the whole time. But we met through Instagram or something, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Were you Snapchatting again? Is he snapping you?
That was me. I'll put up my hand. I was the instigator.
Love it. Since then, a little friendships developed. I followed McLaren, obviously, and you had a great race in China. You placed 1-2. When I was talking to you on the phone the other day, hey, you're getting greedy. You said you won the first race, which was in Australia, I believe, right?
Yep, correct.
You could have won 1-2 in that one, too. And I go, well, that's a little greedy. But that's the way you got to feel, right?
100%. This winning stuff is awesome. And I think in our sport, you kind of win more than you lose. And then you have some teams that'll like literally never win. And so even I try and explain to people, I think the worst baseball team, I can't remember who it was, won like 40 games.
No, the White Sox last year won 32, I think.
30, yeah, they still won 32 times. The worst racing team will never win a race in their existence, which is pretty depressing. I'm glad McLaren's not one of those. But can you imagine showing up to a sport and it's like, I am never going to win?
Zach, that's me every Saturday on the tee box. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So what's the difference between the winning teams and the losers?
People. people. Now, it used to be money because we're a sport that had, so I'm spending hundreds of millions a year. I'm bringing in about 600 million pounds in revenue. And so before we had a cost cap, which only was implemented 5 years ago, you could spend what you have. And so it was the best people, but you could hire more people. You could afford the best. You could just stack your team, buy the best. You just buy the best of everything. And you'd have like 4 teams that could play that game and 6 that couldn't. Now we have a cost cap, like kind of every other sport, some sort of salary cap, and that's leveled the playing field. So now the best drivers still want to play for the best teams. So we've got an awesome driver lineup. And then same thing with the best people want to work for the best team. So it's still people that makes a difference. We can't necessarily pay them any more than anyone else because of the cap, but we still attract the best people. We've all got unbelievable technology and wind tunnels and manufacturing facilities. Our Formula One team's 1,000 people. So a lot of people are very surprised of what it takes to put 2 racing cars on the track.
Okay, 1,000 people.
1,000
employees for McLaren F1 Racing.
Yep.
What do they do?
It's amazing what they do.
Yeah.
So,
you know what's crazy? When you watch the show, I'm caught up on Formula One. I've watched every one. And I was never a Formula One guy until that Netflix series came out. And I watched it one night. And next day, hey, let's watch 2 of them tonight. And you go through how many seasons now? 4 seasons?
No, we're 7 seasons in.
7 seasons in. And when they show the home office and you go to some place in England or middle of nowhere, the beautiful buildings, the trophies, and then you introduce a new driver and all these people come out in the thing, out in the foyer of the office building.
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. It's crazy. It's everything from a few hundred people in manufacturing, because we make everything in-house. Everything is bespoke, unique. Everything's getting developed. So we're constantly, some interesting stats. If you take the race car that qualifies first and it was untouched, by the end of the year, that car would be last. That's the pace of development of a Formula One team. We change 80% of our race car over the course of the year. So what goes into that are a bunch of very smart people that know math and science, all the PhDs, the aerodynamic department, the materials, the brake, everything's broken down. If you look at our race car, we'll have 15 people just designing the front wing of our race car. We'll have 15 people just designing the rear wing of the race car. We'll have 20 people just developing the floor of the race car. So by the time you kind of stack those all together, it's mind-blowing that you come up with 1,000 people. We have 18 people to do a 2-second pit stop. So we travel with about 130 people. And then during
131 to Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
131 to Austin.
Yeah. 3 to Augusta.
And and then we have a huge sales and marketing team. Our commercial department's about 150 people. Our HR, our finance, 150 people. So it's amazing how quickly it stacks up. Everyone knows what they're doing around here other than me. What is that? What do you do?
So back up a little bit on your career, obviously driving as a driver and then transitioning to the business side. Talk through what that was like. And did you ever, obviously the answer is probably no, but did you ever know you were going to get to this point?
No. So I wanted to be a racing driver. I was a racing driver for 10 years, but I didn't come from family resources. I mean, we weren't poor, but you need to be kind of rich to get into motor racing or have someone rich helping you, because the junior formula stuff is very expensive. It probably takes a driver from karting up to Formula 2 before you get into Formula 1. That's about $8 million. That's what it costs to prepare. So we didn't have resources like that. They could give me a baseball glove and a bat and some good cleats, but not racing. So I had to learn how to do sponsorship myself to fund my career. So I got very good at that out of, hey, if I want to go racing, I need someone to pay for it. So I just became obsessed with understanding how sponsorship worked. So I got a great reputation for that while I was racing. And the second part of my career, people were starting like, you should maybe stop this racing stuff and get into the business side. But when you're racing, that's not what you want to hear. But if you got kind of like 255 batting average, eventually you look at the stats and go like, yeah, it's actually kind of not good enough. And so I then started doing sponsorship for other people and started making a lot more money than when I was racing. I went, actually, I'm pretty good at this. So that I kind of stumbled into the business, did that for 20 years, sold my agency, ended up building up what became the world's largest motorsports agency. Because when I'm into something, I'm all in and I want to win. And while I couldn't do that on the track enough, I was killing it in the business side. Then I started doing business with all the Formula One teams and got known and a reputation and got an opportunity once I sold my company to either go to Formula One itself or McLaren. And McLaren was always my favorite team. So I picked McLaren and I'm now in my 9th season and absolutely love it. My goal was to be on the podium in a race suit, not in a team kit. But I got to tell you, it feels pretty damn cool.
When you raced, what level did you race, your highest level?
I got to 24 Hours of Daytona, Le Mans. So I got to the highest level of sports car racing, which was the second part of my career. So I wanted to get to F1, raced a bunch against like Max Verstappen's dad. I never thought I was going to be that guy who now today goes, I raced against your dad. Raced against Jos Verstappen. So a bunch of guys that went on to win the Indy 500 and Formula One races and then sports car racing. So I made it to the highest level, but not of MLB. I would say I was in like another league, the highest level, which doesn't
AAA.
Yeah,
You're in AAA. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, my father-in-law used to race at 24 Hours of Daytona. He
Did he
raced
really?
with a guy named Frank Carney. You remember that name?
I know the name.
Pizza Hut.
Yep.
He started Pizza Hut, and he's from Wichita, Kansas, where my father-in-law lived. They would race together 24 Hours of Daytona. He did the Maximilian down in Italy. He went over to Italy and did that, 24-hour race there on the streets or something?
24 hours, and then it's also a couple of days. Some of the different types of
Memorabilia,
the kind of these
in the old cars. I mean, they're old relic cars, old race cars. Yeah, he was big time into racing. He had the lift in his garage. He had all kinds of cars. And now my brother-in-law has found one of my father-in-law's old cars, found it. And he races that on he'll go to Watkins Glen and race
of course.
With it. With the same car. He took it apart, rebuilt it, and that's what he does now.
Nice. I get out and do some historic now. I love it.
They're expensive hobbies though, aren't they?
Very expensive hobbies. But you buy the right car, they're unbelievably collectible and appreciate a lot. So I'm kind of long on cars because I'm a car guy, but you get the right stuff with the right pedigree. It's like art. So you get to enjoy it, drive it, and it's going up in value. So I'm a car junkie, as you can imagine.
So Zach, sounds to me like one of your greatest skills is you're a good salesman.
I've been a sales guy my whole life by getting myself out of trouble in school. So you got to be kind of on your toes right away, always kind of pitching why you shouldn't be in trouble. So yeah, I've been a sales guy my whole life. I'm extroverted, like to meet people, social, not a kind of a party guy. You go to kind of a big party, I'm the guy in the corner. So I like to have friends and acquaintances, but kind of like in small settings.
Yeah. Well, over the past 4 years, you've been really good at convincing some of the best drivers in the world that yours is the company to be part of. And to your point is you've got the cap. All things being equal, it's not money. There's a reason they're coming over. Culture gets thrown around like crazy, but what would you say if I'm a stud driver? I'm a diva. I'm the best of the best. And I'm on that competitive team. And you got 30 seconds to tell me why on earth would I want to come to McLaren. What do you say to that guy?
We love our drivers and we create the best of it. We have fun. And I think you got to have fun in sport and life. You're living together. You're traveling together. So, of course, we got a great, rich history. So, you want to play for
Yankees,
we got
Royals.
Yeah, I was going to say not the pinstripe.
don't say Yankees.
I've already learned my lesson once. And so the environment, I love to have fun. I think it helps that I used to race because, these athletes are wound tight, right? They're intense individuals and you need to learn how to get the most out of them. And, some like the arm around the shoulder, some like to get kicked in the butt, but you got to know kind of when and where to get the most out of them because they're all different. And so some of our competitors, and I don't think there's a right or wrong, it's just how I do things. It's like, here's how we do things here, and you're going to do it my way. And I'm much more of a, here's how we do things here, which is we do things the way that people like to be treated and create and you get the most out of people. So I think our history, our on-track success, but the environment, Lando, myself, Oscar, Andrea, we're goofing around, we're laughing, but we're deadly serious. But that's what I'm trying to kind of create, that small sports team culture, but within 1,000 people.
Wow.
So if you're a driver, like, talk through some of the resources and things that those drivers have within McLaren or maybe other teams from like a athlete and training perspective that the common fan may not know.
Yeah. So, I mean, all the teams kind of have the same thing, right? You have everything from the trainers to the PR assigned directly to them, psychologists and psychiatrists for the mental side of the sport. So a driver will have kind of about a team of around 8 people around them. Of course, they then have the engineers that they're working with. So they're interacting with the whole team, but we're trying to keep them physically fit, mentally fit. We're traveling around the world 24 times a year, different time zones. And it was interesting. I just came from a lunch meeting. I think some people don't think drivers are athletes because they don't understand the dynamics of what it takes to drive a racing car. So as I just heard, they have the lateral G's of a fighter pilot. They have the neck of a leader of rugby. They have the heart rate and adrenaline of a boxer because they're driving 200 miles an hour. There's no timeouts. Like a pit stop is 2 seconds. That's the timeout they get. And by the way, when they're stopping, they're having to get ready to go again. So for about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, think about it. If you were spinning on a bike, that's your heart rate, your hand-eye coordination, 200 miles an hour, your senses, your mental load, the communication that's going on with the driver. It's kind of like the third base coach because we all listen to each other. We're talking in code all the time. So a driver has to be physically so strong to be mentally prepared for what's coming to them. You got weather that's coming in, safety, cars, and then we're talking to them in code because everyone's listening. So we might say, Lando, when we talk about tires, if we say anything at the end of tires, we want you to give us an incorrect response because Ferrari's listening to us just as we're listening to Ferraris. Lando, how are your tires doing? Bogus. So he has to sit there and be driving, fighting physically and go, oh, that's an incorrect. And we change it up, because then everyone gets to know your signs. That's where things like AI are now starting to come in, where we have to beat AI at their own game.
Yeah. Do you know the amazing thing about, let's say, baseball? Every pitch, there's 20 seconds off. So your mind can wander for 10 seconds. In basketball, guy shooting a free throw, your mind can wander. In football, after the play's over, you got 25 seconds. If a race car driver takes 1 second off mentally, crash. That's the most amazing part to me. Not only they go 200 miles an hour and people can get killed in this sport very easy, but to be able to maintain that focus for that long, that much time with no breather.
100%. It would be whatever was going through your mind when the pitcher's winding up, that moment of time where you're trying to read the ball coming out of their hand.
You're like that for 70 laps.
100%. It's exactly where their mind is for 70 laps. Crazy.
Zach, do they get nervous?
They get adrenaline. So I think that's probably no different than any sport. I think there's an element of nervousness, but it's an adrenaline, ready to go nervousness. I mean, I don't know, George, did you get nervous when you came to the plate?
I was nervous. You know what's funny? After the national anthem, and they said, and now taking the field, the Kansas City Royals, man, my heart started beating. But as soon as that first pitch was thrown, I was fine. It's that nervous anticipation of going out there and trying to perform at the highest level.
Yeah.
And then once the game started, I was nice and relaxed.
He gets more nervous than a club championship or a $20 Nassau than he can't afford it.
I get the most nervous playing golf when somebody says, you guys want to play through?
Yeah.
And then you got to hit a ball on because if I hit a bad one, they're going to tell all their friends, God, we let George Brett play through today and he freaking topped it.
No, but you're exactly right. It's the same thing. The buildup, where the driver's nervous, is that on the grid, build up, getting suited in. Soon as the lights go off, it's all instinct. Then they're chilled, right? But it's that buildup, that anticipation. It's pretty awesome too, right? That's what I think athletes love the most, is they thrive on that adrenaline.
Right. So it's race day. What's a day in your seat like during race day?
So I'll do a lot of sponsor and media activity in the morning. We got 500 guests coming to all these races, big shows, big CEOs. Then I like to spend time with the drivers and Andrea, who runs the racing team, to go through what's our strategy for the day, just so I'm aware. Is it going to be one stop, two stop? What's our game plan? Pretty much sponsor media work. And then once the race starts, I'm on pit wall, but I'm not calling the strategy. We've got experts that are experts in every different part of the race. And so I sit back and play. I'll kind of chime in with thoughts, but I know not to override any decisions because it's such a data-driven sport. You used to race with what's called racer instinct. And then I would be more comfortable. But now I recognize the person who's making the decision on tires has so much tire data. I'm not going to sit there and kind of second guess. So it's really just kind of make sure everyone's doing their job. There's three things that roll up to me for a decision. One, if Mercedes, who's our engine partner, tells us to pull in because they see an issue with the engine, I can override that decision, but then I take the fiscal responsibility if the engine blows up. So that'll write up to me. Two, if we do driver swaps, drivers don't like swapping, but there could be a strategic reason to do it. That could come up to me because that could be something that we have to explain to the drivers at a later date. And then the third, and probably the most important one, is safety, which is if we see something going on with the race car, which we had a brake issue with Lando in the last race, and it's kind of, should we retire the car or not? Are we putting the driver at risk? That could come up to me and go, what do you want to do here? And my general view is you can always go get another driver, keep going. Now, that's not necessarily the case. My view would be, how big is the problem? What risk are we at? And then also, you would never be irresponsible. Are we in the points or not in the points? If you're out of the points, it's a real easy decision. Just park the car. It doesn't matter. If you're going for the win, and so Lando this weekend was having a brake issue that went from being manageable to critical. So we were getting close to having to retire him. But luckily, we made it to the end.
How many laps to go, or how close to the finish of the race was that decision made?
10 laps to go, we knew we had a problem, which we were constantly monitoring. And it was only with 2 laps to go that it became, we radioed to them and said, it's critical. But what we were able to do is wind all the braking power to the front brakes because it was the rear that was going. So we knew we could make it up until Lando saying, I can't drive it anymore. We never got there. He just backed out of using the brakes as much because you can still use the front brakes. You just lose a lot of your braking power. I would say another lap or 2, we probably would have retired him.
Wow.
What role is AI playing in the evolution of the technology?
So it's early days. So we're using AI more on like the marketing side of the business, where we are starting to use it. And Google's a big partner around AIs around. We monitor everyone's tires, and you can see tire wear through imagery. So we get all these images, and now we're using AI to go through and pick out anomalies because that's what we're looking for, because drivers will, to try and throw us off, say, my tires are fine. And then we can go look at an image and go, actually, they're not fine. They just didn't want us to figure out they're going to make a pit stop soon. On the flip side, they might say their tires are terrible. And we think, they're going to pit soon. And we can actually see their tires are fine. So we're using AI around tire management.
Wow.
I think as it gets more sophisticated, it can help us with strategy. But what it can't do is, we know the mindset of different drivers out there. So AI can say, we're going to catch this driver in 3 laps. But what AI can't tell us yet is how tough that driver is to pass versus another driver, because some drivers are tougher on track than others. So we still need, it helps us with more data quicker, but we still need the kind of human to make that final decision.
Thank God.
Exactly. Otherwise, I'm out of a job.
I mean, what are we going to, right? We don't want AI driving the cars.
Now, I think AI will end up making us smarter quicker so we can make quicker decisions, but then everyone will get the same. So it'll just be that much closer of a competition. Our whole field is spread by 2%. So the best of the worst is 2%. So the amount of incremental gain that we're looking for that makes a difference is the smallest incremental gain makes a big difference over the course of a year.
Yeah. Hey, on that human side, who has bigger egos? Premier League soccer players, football players, or F1 racers?
Ooh, That's a good question. I wouldn't want to say I'm an expert in the other sports. I would say actually the racing drivers, you got to have huge self-confidence and ego, but I think they do a pretty good job of not putting that on display. And I don't know if that's because we have so many sponsors around us. One thing I have had when I bring athletes to a race, they're blown away by how disturbed the drivers are before, you come on to the start of a grid, it's chaos and there's sponsors and media. And so I have had my buddies from other sports, they come on, they're like, man, when I get on the field, the only guy I'm talking to is my teammate, and everyone's on the field until the race starts. So the drivers, and it's a big sponsor business and fan engagement. So I think the drivers are used to being very social. And so therefore, while they have huge egos, I think you kind of almost have to in sport, I don't think they put it on display in some of the same ways I've seen in other sports. But also there's only 20 of our guys, right? So it's a smaller group.
Well, and it's part of the business, right? It's like golfers. Golfers have their sponsors and they've got to play in the pro-ams. It's part of the business, which goes back to everybody has to be a good sales. Well, not everyone has to be, but those that are pretty good at it tend to go pretty far, right?
Yeah. No, it's definitely a very social business in that sense.
What was the minor when you're racing or raising money for your own driving? What was that arrangement like? Because I did the similar deal when I was played at golf at Kansas, then played professionally. But what was that like when you're out trying to sell sponsors, or what's the agreement? Or is it just they're giving you your name, they're getting marketing back? Or
yeah, well, so ultimately you try and understand what company X is, so TWA, the airline, hopefully I wasn't responsible for putting them out of business, was my big my career. And so what I did is I got immersed in like, TWA, what are you trying to do? And it was like, I know you're trying to put passengers on planes, but that's when frequent flyer mileage was really kind of becoming a thing. So came up with ideas on how people could sign up for frequent flyer miles at the racetrack. They would promote their new upgrades. So they'd bring seats to the racetrack and have people sit in them so they could see the difference. They wanted to motivate their employees. So I'd go down to, I lived in St. Louis Airport because that was their hub. And I'd go down to the baggage handlers and the ticket agents, and they wanted to create good employee morale and teamwork. So it was trying to understand what is each company. Of course, Coca-Cola is trying to sell more Coca-Cola, but they're trying to, what markets are they trying to get into? How are they trying to take care of their bottlers? And so I became immersed in trying to understand what do corporations want to do with their business and how could they use motorsports to align with their objectives. And that's how I ended up building the business. In order for me to get out of TWA, what I wanted to go racing, I first needed to identify what did they want, and then how could I use sport to give them what they want, to give me what I want so I could go racing.
That's awesome.
Thanks for joining the Golf Underground. Now, the Golf Underground is brought to you by Star Companies, KC. Experience a more energy efficient and comfortable home with Star's insulation services. Regal Distributing, specializing in the distribution of food service and professional cleaning supplies to a variety of industries. Cowell Insurance, providing brokerage and risk management services for over 25 years. Sono Orthopedics, care plans backed by research and clinical results tailored perfectly to individual needs. Bob Sight Ford and Bob Sight Independence Kia, where you'll score a double eagle on your next car or truck. Lewisburg Ford, nobody sells more F-150s than Lewisburg Ford. And Celebrity Greens, put a custom PGA caliber putting green in your backyard for the ultimate golf experience. Now, onto the program.
Is the Austin one still in late October, early November?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't tell you this the other day, but I went to the very first one in Austin. I guess that was the very first one in America, right?
2012. First one on the comeback. It's been in America since the 60s, but on and off, and more off than on, and changed 1,000 times. So 2012 is when it came back to the States. It left in 2006, I think it was. It raced at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but there was Tiregate, which, well, you remember Tiregate?
Yep.
Which I was there for, which was one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. George, what that was is there was a tire issue, 20 cars on the grid. Bridgestone and Michelin were the two tire manufacturers. And because they were running on an oval for the first, not for the first time, but they changed compounds all the time, there were some big accidents. So it was deemed that actually everyone's going to crash. These tires can't sustain the loads on the oval. And so on the Saturday night, there'd been two big crashes. I was with the boss of McLaren at the time. It's like, big problem for tomorrow. And everyone was starting to kind of talk about it. It was like, we may not race tomorrow unless they can fly in these tires. And then you're getting into shorten the race, change the circuit, put in some temporary rules to do a race. But the regulations around Formula One is everyone has to agree. And we can never agree on anything. We're certainly not going to agree on something Sunday morning in a half an hour. So it became, in order to do the race, there'll be a chicane, temporary chicane built before the oval. And it has to start at like 11:15 or the race is going to be delayed. So everyone's kind of staring at this and everyone's running around the paddock. There's going to be a race, not going to be a race. They will race, they won't race. They're bluffing, all that bullshit. So we're all looking 11:15 and they're not building the chicane. Race starts at 2. So for 2.5 hours, are they going to race or they're not going to race? And they were going with, we're going to race. So you guys can talk about not racing, but we're following all the process to get ready to go. And then about 45 minutes out when the garage opens, it's like, are they, aren't they? They get in the cars, all 20 cars pull out, and you're like, they were bluffing. Before the reconnaissance, the end of the reconnaissance lap, 16 of the 20 cars pull into the pits. And all of a sudden you're going, fuck, they weren't bluffing. I mean, you went from they were bluffing to not bluffing in a minute and a half. And I was there. And so I was watching it going like, this is like World War III of Formula One breaking out. And so then you had it was either 4 or 6 cars that took the race that were on the other tire. Fans went nuts and beer bottles. And so it was a year later, F1 left America. And so it was screwed up until it came back in 2012.
Wow.
And even then it took some time it only got to where it is today 3 years ago.
So they never finished, nothing, right? Everyone had to go home.
No, they did the race with 6 cars. But I mean, it'd be like watching a baseball game with 4 players aside. I mean, it could be kind of interesting, but
who got in trouble?
The fans ultimately got most of their money back. So that was a huge problem because, right, we at the time, that's not how Formula One thinks today. They were very inward looking. So it was like, well, we'll worry about these fans later. We were more worried about the industry impact. It was deemed a race, highly political. The tire manufacturer ended up stepping up and giving refunds, but it lost America audience, which it barely had at that point for 10 years.
Yeah, they were still trying to embrace the split to IRL, right? I remember what a stink that was. And just getting all those in. I went to Indy 7 years in a row. And, when that thing split, it seemed like half the fans were there. And it took a while, right, to ramp that thing back up. I mean, people just had this perception of racing that it's
not what it once was. I think it could be, but that's how much it damaged. That was in 95. And the peak of IndyCar at that moment, 93, 94, is when the current Formula One world champion came over. And it was knocking on the door of Formula One. It was that big. And it split. One goes bust. The other survives, but isn't what it once was. Come back together because one's gone bust. And it's going now. And I think it can get there, but it's not what it once was.
Hey, just a couple more questions on this. So were you involved in the business?
Both instances, I was involved in the business in a pretty big way, but not in a way where I was participating in what happened or could have influenced it, impacted my business from IndyCar at the time, but it was more watching the other players that were part of it.
Well, the reason I asked this, Zach, just to kind of bring you guys in and also the listener who might not be aware, right? And probably mid-90s, you had Penske, you had all racing was doing awesome. I mean, again, the Indy 500, you had 200,000+ people. There was an enormous event, but you had the rich guys were winning all the races. And so there's disparity in revenue, or who can afford the best stuff, the best staff, et cetera. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Zach. And then they created this other league. And I liken this to the PGA versus the LIV, right?
Yeah. Good comparison.
Right. And so I was going to ask you having lived through it and seeing its impact on so many of these people, what advice would you give to either the LIV folks who took off and said, screw the man, or we want ownership, et cetera, versus the old classic, because it damaged racing. I would say for all of us, you even said it, your golf is your life. You watched less golf last year than ever, right?
Yeah. I'd be where I'm at in life, but also I just, since COVID or since LIV came along, I just watched less. No, I did watch the other day because Gary was in the hunt coming down the stretch. It was actually a good event and a lot going on. And I was trying to look for you on TV, but I definitely watch a little less golf than I used to.
They don't zoom in on the beer tent. But what advice would you give to these guys? Like the leadership?
Get together. Get together. It seems to me from the outside looking in that there's a way that it can come together. And the one thing that I think golf hasn't really had, I could be a little wrong here, just me as a consumer, is PGA is pretty much domestic. The DP World Tour, the European Tours, Europe, Asia, and seems like Live want to be on a global stage, and golf could have bigger global events. And so if you kind of look at what the leagues have and maybe what they want to do and they're trying to create, I think some good format, just like all sports change, right? Baseball rules are changing, and hockey, they're trying to speed up the sport, things like that. So I think Liv's definitely got some very creative aspects to the sport. So how do you kind of bundle that all together and freshen up the sport, whatever that means? Have a great domestic, international, but layer in a big global thing that brings everyone together and has big payouts, but easier said than done, right? I know people come to me all the time and go, hey, why don't you just get more horsepower in your engine? It's like, hey, I never really thought about that. It's a great idea. That's my Monday morning quarterback. That comes from a very ignorant place.
I lived it.
If you look at what they're doing on the tour, I mean, obviously they're reacting a little bit, but I mean, the TGL thing with the indoor simulator deal, which you've probably seen, is definitely bringing the modern fan, let's call it, in. And then, what they did at the Players, where they had all the golf influencer guys and gals playing a 9-hole challenge, which I don't really care to watch, but there's clearly hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, that are willing to watch that. And so, I mean, if you would have said 10 years ago that they're going to have this influencer classic at the PG or at the Players Championship the day before the event, I would have said you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you wrestle between, let's just take Formula One, has an amazing global brand right now, yet you never want to get stale, right? That's got to be really, you got to try to figure that one out. That's hard. What do you do? I mean, you keep it where it's at with a little changes here and there, but
I think it's going great. I think we're constantly tweaking what we do. Netflix, we did the new car launch this year, which is the first time we've ever done that at the O2. So I think we need to continue to explore things that are very fan focused. The product has never been better, right? You've got 4 teams, 7 different winners, multiple winners. Comes down to the last race on the constructors, hopefully this year. Well, hopefully it doesn't come down to the last race this year on the drivers, and we're far ahead, but the sport's never been more competitive. It's an exciting sport, and it's got so many different dimensions to it. I think there's a lot of room for growth in the American audience. We're still doing 1.5 TV ratings, and football is anywhere between a 40, 50 for the Super Bowl to 20 for playoffs to a regular game's 10. So I think capture more of the media audience through the different channels, move the calendar around. We got so much technology in our sport. I think the sport's done a good job now of, and this is when Liberty came in, I think this is what the NFLs and the MLB, they know their audience is. They all have their different challenges, but they're in touch with their audience. And I think we need to get more in touch with our youth, because there's things I have never heard of before in my life. And I'll mention it to my kids who are 24 and 20, and they'll be like, Dad, that's like the biggest thing in the world going on right now. I'm like, really?
I'm the same way with my kids. I get told to Instagram something, post something on Instagram. And the guy that wants me to do it, he says, tell Jackson, my son who's 31, tell Jackson he's got to post this on Sunday. I mean, I have no idea how to do that.
Because you get in trouble every time you do it.
I got in trouble.
Tell Zach about how you got in trouble. You finally came out of your shell and you said, I'm going to be a poster. And you tried it once.
Well, I tried. My first time I ever tweeted anything, it was right before the election. And it was Donald Trump. And so
politics is always a great place to start.
I had 2 dogs. And I put a Make America Great hat on both dogs, and I took a picture and I posted, if only dogs could vote. And man, did I get ripped. Oh my God. Keith Olbermann retweeted that. He saw it, retweeted it. And then he had all his followers. And one of them, I was a little scared. They said, we know where you live. Don't be shocked when you come home and find your dog's dead. I said, okay, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to be doing that crap anymore.
That was a one and done.
So you will never see me do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zach, you said earlier that you're not going to Japan. You're not going to be at the races this week.
Yeah, correct.
And because you have Camille, don't go to all of them. And then I think you said you still race. Are you still racing cars?
Yeah, historic racing. So now that I'm an old guy, I've got a historic car collection of Formula One cars, Indy cars, Group C cars, and I like to drive 3-4 times a year. So I was testing earlier this week in Spain on Tuesday, and I'll race 3-4 times a year. I play in a fantasy baseball once a year. I ski twice a year. I golf 24 times a year. I play ice hockey 12 times a year.
Oh my God!
I like to race. I'm type A. You got to be type A to be in Formula One.
You do fantasy baseball, you got to go to his.
We spoke about it.
We talked about that on the phone.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I do one a year, and I did one at Cooperstown 2 years ago. George will know what I'm talking about. Did you guys ever play ball at all?
Growing up.
Golf.
Oh,
Growing up.
Okay. So
you played on Doubleday Field, right?
Doubleday Field, yeah.
I did a fantasy camp there years and years and years ago.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm playing left field because there's no way I'm playing third base because each team has 2 pros.
Right.
And it's got David Breeze, and I'm playing Ray Langford is playing center. But in left field, every time the pro comes up, they're obviously just trying to put it over the left field fence. And when they miss, they hit a fly ball that goes halfway to the moon.
Yeah.
And then comes down. And I'm playing left field. I've got, first of all, some of the most embarrassing photos ever. But that thing comes down at 1,000 miles an hour, and every time over your head. And I got some photos of me where Ray eventually said to me, he's like, dude, what are you doing, man? Stop moving your feet around, because I was doing that the entire time. So
and then when you're moving your feet, the ball's bouncing up and down,
Well, you got that at third base, plus the line drive, hoppers.
The one hoppers.
You're back in. Yeah.
Do you wear a cup? Do you wear a cup when you play infield?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You wear a cup when you play outfield?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
That'll make your wife happy.
But I do have it as part of my show and tell, a guy that used to do pretty good with that at third base.
Look at that one. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. That's an oldie but a goodie.
That is an oldie but a goodie. Look at that.
A rookie year, which goes along with my PSA, says it's real. George Brett, rookie bat.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, look at that.
You got a better collection than I do.
Yeah. I probably bought it to people that
you know what, though, I have? You know what I have? I have my cup.
Yeah.
I have my cup on my desk in my office. And people always
framed
go
on your
over, they
wall.
go, what is that? And I just put it right there on the outside. That's a lifesaver.
Did you keep some of your good stuff?
No, I remember after my last game I played in Texas, they said, hey, here's your game used uniform. And by the time I got back to Kansas City, I don't know where it is. Somebody stole it. I mean, some of those kids, they just steal everything.
Yeah.
And then I found out some of my teammates were taking stuff too, like bats and selling them and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
Tell them about your office. You walk in your office, you got some cool memorabilia.
I know what. I go to a lot of guys' houses and they might have, if they have played on 5 teams, they have 5 jerseys of all the teams all throughout the house. I don't have anything in my house with the exception of my office. I got gold glove, 1 gold glove. I got 3 silver bats for, they don't even keep track of this anymore, winning the batting title. Now it's the OPS title or whatever. I don't get it.
You're going to have to explain that to me here in a moment, but keep going.
And then one year I was in Cooperstown at the Hall of Fame induction, and I don't have a lot of stuff. And I got an autograph ball from everybody that was there in the year 2008. That's where it stopped. Yeah. So let's say there was 60 guys there. I got everybody that was alive in 2008 that was at the Hall of Fame. I got them all signed to sign a ball, and I got it a really neat glassed-in case. So this year, what I'm thinking about doing is getting everybody that wasn't there in 2008 and have them then sign a ball and then building another one right next to it.
Nice.
So it would be like maybe 120 Hall of Fame autograph signatures.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
Didn't you have an old school? You didn't have a Babe Ruth ball, or didn't you have? You had something in there.
I got a Babe Ruth ball that's in there. I got a Lou Gehrig ball that's in there that I've just gotten over the years, and stuff like that.
I want to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. Who's the toughest pitcher?
Nobody.
Good answer.
Good answer.
That's what I always say.
Good answer. That's not the first time you've given that answer.
Yeah, that's what I always say now. They're all easy now. I haven't faced one in 31 years.
Yeah. That's funny. And you have a baseball hero growing up?
Well, you have his jersey in your office. You had a Brooks Robinson, didn't you?
Yeah,
Brooks
100%.
Robinson jersey in the picture you showed me.
100%. Yep,
Yeah,
100%.
Brooks. I wore number 5 because of Brooks.
Did you?
And
Okay.
Carl Yastrzemski was a left-handed hitter. I met Carl when I was 13 years old. I went back to the World Series in '67. My brother Ken was on that team. I got a chance to meet Yaz that year. And then the next year, I went and stayed for a week, 10 days with my brother during a long homestand. So I got to see Yaz play a lot. So I hit left-handed like Yaz, and I tried to play third base like Brooks.
And you played the same time as Yaz.
Yeah, I played against both of them for a long time.
Have you golfed with him?
No, I haven't. He's down in the Keys down in Florida, and I understand he plays a lot.
Yeah, and if he's watching this, say I'm just repeating what I was told. I heard he's the biggest cheater in all of golf. Seriously, I totally ran. I've never met him. I think the guy's a legend.
Wait, show your screensaver.
It will get back to him.
Show your screensaver, because I want to share another cheater. Watch this. You're gonna see this, Zach.
Oh, nice.
There's George and Donald in the back seat of.
Look how orange Donald is.
I don't know. Yeah. George is pretty orange there too.
He had a good tie on.
Hairdo that day.
So another question for you. That'll be my.
Oh, hey, bring it.
Keep him going.
Keep him coming.
So you've probably only been asked this 7,452 times in the last year.
Okay.
So when the pine tar happens,
okay,
which I've seen it 1,000 times. Was it longer than it should have been? I guess it was. How did that happen? But what I don't understand is what the performance advantage of that would be, and where the league would disqualify the home run because, okay, it's high. If it's hot, but that would make the ball stick, in my opinion. So what?
Well, I agree. It was 5 inches over the limit. I did not know there was a rule. So you know where that label is.
Yeah,
at the middle of the label, about an inch below that label is 18 inches. Well, mine was 23, so mine covered the whole barrel. Now, the reason there was so much pine tar on that bat is because I didn't break it. I used that bat for about a month.
Yeah.
And I never broke it. And so every time I'd go up there, I would put more and more pine tar on it. Yeah. Now, the bats that I used were unfinished. So that means they were just raw wood. So that pine tar would dig in. They didn't have any varnish on them. It would kind of get in the pores of the bat and kind of grow in. So it looked a lot worse than it was. In all honesty. And the reason they put that rule in, I forget what year it was, but Calvin Griffith, who owned the Minnesota Twins, was kind of known as not wanting to spend a lot of money and always complaining what things cost. And he was saying that, back in those days, people would, if they had a little hairline crack in it, they would put a little finishing nail in there and tape it up and put pine tar over it. Well, he was complaining that too many balls were being thrown out of play because they were getting pine tar on them when they would kind of hit near the barrel. And so that's why they made that rule.
To save money on balls?
Save money on baseballs. Wow. And now you watch a game, and every time the ball hits the dirt, they throw it out. Every time a ball hits the dirt, they throw it out. Every time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Absolutely
That's crazy. What was it? Billy Martin or Pinella? It
was Billy Martin was the manager, and we played the Yankees 2 weeks prior to that series in New York. Yeah. And so when we went and played in that series in Kansas City, if I would have got a hit, if I got a base hit with 2 outs and nobody on, they weren't going to challenge that. They were waiting for a game-changing hit. Yeah. And sure enough, in that game, it was 2 outs in the 9th inning. We were down by a run, and I hit a home run to win the game. That was game-changing enough where Billy came out, and he knew the rules. Hey, you can't have pine tar more than 18 inches. Yeah. And so the umpires called me out. And then Lee McPhail was the president, and he overruled the umpires, saying that the amount of pine tar had no impact on the ball being hit for a home run.
Yeah. So you got the win.
So we had to go back and finish that game. I was kicked out of the game for some reason. They kicked me out of the game, Zach.
You seemed all right.
I don't understand why.
Yeah.
So I didn't even go to the stadium. We were on our way flying to Baltimore to play the Orioles on an off day, and the Yankees had an off day. So the team goes there. I went to a little restaurant right by the airport in New Jersey and sat at the bar and watched the game on a little TV set with our TWA rep, Larry Amici.
How many Coors Lights?
Oh, God, I probably had 2 or 3 Coors Lights and a bottle of wine at that one. It was great.
Speaking of pitchers, so we're in Scottsdale a couple of years ago playing at Whisper Rock, and we go to this bar afterwards, and Goose Gossage is there. And George and I walk in, and he's just sitting there holding up the middle finger like this. Oh, And he's got this weird voice. Fuck you, George. Fuck you.
We get along great.
Cowell Insurance Services is your leading program administrator for workers' compensation. They're dedicated to meeting the unique challenges of the insurance industry and assisting employers in reducing their costs. CIS has provided insurance claim and loss control services to various industries, including trucking, construction, retail convenience stores, and healthcare, as well as public entities for over 30 years. They work with both retail agents and industry clients, or a combination of the two. If you're tired of fighting the rising costs of premiums and claims, give Cowell Insurance Services a call. Their dedicated staff is ready to find you the best insurance option at the most competitive price. They can help to define or enhance your safety program in order to move you in the right direction in reducing your claim and premium costs. Contact Cowell Insurance Services today, 816-214-4070.
What's up, Underground? Sully here with a message from our friends over at Bob's Site. Now, buying a new vehicle can be a bit like buying a new set of clubs, which means when you want to drive the ball straight, you seek advice from experts, golf pros like our boy Wardo. And when it comes to buying your next car or truck, you also need expert advice so that you drive away in style. Well, you now have options with the Site family's expanded dealership, now including Honda and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Lawrence, Kansas. And they're there to guide you to the perfect vehicle. With a commitment to exceptional service and a real passion for helping each customer, they're like the trusted golf pros of the auto world. And they're ready to analyze your needs and match you with your ideal ride. So step into bobsite.com or visit their Lawrence locations. Experience the difference of a team that's dedicated to helping you navigate your options, ensuring you drive off with confidence and satisfaction. Hey, Brian Sullivan of Golf Underground with my favorite orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Kevin Whitty from Sano Orthopedics. Hey, Doc, golf season's over. My back is killing me. I know it's football season, so you got a lot of kids coming in, blown ACLs, all sorts of body parts with problems. And then, of course, those baseball players. I know you fix a lot of elbows. Why is Sano Orthopedics the absolute best sports medicine orthopedic group in Kansas City?
Well, if you want to see the guys in town who've had the best orthopedic fellowship training in sports medicine, including training with Dr. James Andrews and Dr. Larry Lemack, come see us. We individualize patients' plans to get them back to that activity and that sport that they love. And we actually care and listen to our patients and follow up with them and make sure that they're getting the results they need.
Okay, and so the three things that separate you: number one, best training; number two, you specialize in getting people on that field; number three, you're actually listen. Where can I learn more? Because you got me all in, and I don't really want to get fixed, but it's time.
At SanoOrthopedics.com, 816-525-2840.
Hi, this is George Brett, Hall of Fame baseball player, and I've been playing golf for over 35 years. Hitting the ball far was never my problem, but the closer I got to the greens, that's when my problems began. When I wanted a golf practice area in my backyard, I called Celebrity Greens. They are the industry leader in custom-built synthetic golf greens. These championship caliber, low-maintenance greens roll great, react like real bent grass, and hold chip shots that check and spin. I absolutely love mine, not only in Kansas City, but also in Arizona. Call the pros at Celebrity Greens at 1-888-507-7960 or visit them online at celebritygreens.com. Practice like the pros, or people like me that want to be pros, right in your own backyard.
Hey, Brian Sullivan, Golf Underground, with a little tip for you. If you're looking to buy a new Ford, you have to check out my buddy, Jason Gudenkauf at Lewisburg Ford. They've been saving Midwest Ford buyers thousands of bucks for over 40 years because they do business the right way. They sell everything, check this out, for $50 over invoice. That's simple and cheap. And they win a lot of awards. In fact, they won Ford's President's Award 17 times. That's the top Ford award. And they only give it to dealers with superior customer satisfaction in sales and service. So they know how to take care of customers better than anybody. Now, what these guys know how to do also, keep this in mind, sell trucks. Lewisburg Ford has sold more F-150s than any other Ford dealership in greater Kansas City. That's 2 years running. And last year, they were the number one F-150 sales leader in the entire state of Kansas. So, no hassle. $50 over invoice pricing, unparalleled customer satisfaction, and a huge selection. That's a perfect recipe for selling trucks. So, check out all their inventory and prices online at lewisburgford.com or give them a call at 816-444-2300.
New golf clubs
A big screen TV to watch the U.S. Open? Or maybe even a new golf cart that I've got my eye on?
No matter how you choose to spend the savings, if you're looking to put a dent in your monthly heating and cooling bills, the answer may be right over your head. If your attic isn't insulated properly, you're missing out on a prime opportunity to cut costs. Call the certified energy experts at Star Companies, Inc., 816-353-2160 for a free estimate to learn how they can help you save money. 816-353-2160 or visit starcompanieskc.com.
Was there ever any big cheating scandals in Formula One?
100%.
What's the biggest? Because people think I'm a cheater, and I wasn't cheating.
Yeah, no. That was exactly what I'm cheating. In our sport, the engineers push the envelope to the maximum.
Sure.
And there's an art in our sport. If the rules say you can't do it or don't say you can't do it, then you can do it. And so the rules are extremely sophisticated, but it's by the governing body. And it's here's everything you have to do. And, here's what you can't do. But it's inevitable when you're writing very sophisticated car rules. When you do the here's what you can do and can't do, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you didn't think to address. So then you get 10 teams with 1,000 people going over what 6 people did the best they can and do a damn good job. But when you stick 1,000 people on it, you're going to have some people, they haven't really thought. That's the art of Formula One. Then you have teams over the years where you get into varying degrees of, it's gray, it's not black and white. So they tell you got to stop doing it because you found a loophole. So they're constantly closing loopholes down. That's not cheating. That's the sport. That's the sport trying to always get ahead from a development.
You don't have to preempt that, right?
Yeah. No,
you just do it, and then they'll come back and say, hey, you got us on this one. Don't do it again.
It depends. You don't want to get it wrong. So if you have something that you've got some real questions over, you'll go and ask and say, we want to do this. You okay with this? Right. If you feel that it is, you don't want to kind of ask every time. Sometimes you want to beg for forgiveness, not ask for permission. If it's something that you think is an interpretation, in the worst case scenario is they tell you they have the ability to change a rule on you overnight, but also to say to you, look, we don't want to change the rule, but we think that's gone a little too far. Take it off your car. That type of thing. You work with them on when they think you've overinterpreted something, but that's what the sport's all about. And that's the fascinating part of the sport.
Do you have folks on your team come and sell you? Meaning, hey, Zach, listen, I found this little loophole and it might be in a gray area. Does that sit on your desk? Or is there someone else who's going to make that hard call and then you're going to have to take the heat?
Yeah, it wouldn't come to my desk unless there was something that's happened that I need to know about, because my rules are clear. Like, don't bring it to me if you think it's not legal. Like, that's the answer. Like, don't bring it to me. So ultimately, the engineers all kind of feed up, if you'd like, to various technical directors, and they'll talk about ideas and concepts, and they'll challenge each other, good idea, bad idea. I don't think that's legal. I think that's better look into that a little bit more. So no, I have had other racing teams, not my Formula One team, come to me and say, I've just found out we've been doing this. And I was like, that's not good, dude. That these come off like now. So I have had a couple things flagged to me over the years that shouldn't have been done, quite frankly, but you don't always necessarily know everything on the shop floor. Killed it immediately, but our team knows how to go racing. We have a saying, what you do, your stats, obviously mega important. How you do it is as important. And so just like in golf, I counted every shot today. You're playing against yourself. So I'm not a believer in.
Okay, so what was the number?
73. No.
Wow. Say what?
92 I shot.
92? Was it was it a tough weather day or what?
No, it was a tough day, but I'll tell you what, and it was awesome. Best shot of my life. And then you'll have to do the math on this. It'll take you a second to figure it out.
Okay.
I hold in on the stroke one index, 201 yards, which is what my caddy, with my hybrid. And I hold it after my drive.
Whoa. So you got an eagle.
4.
So you got a 2.
So here's going to be the quick math. We'll see how good you're at math. I got a 4.
Well, you got a 4. That you hit one out of you hit one out of bounds first.
Yeah, correct.
You hit bounds, and you re-teed it, then you made a par. It's the greatest par of your life, though, wasn't it?
It's the best par of all time, and I've only had 3 eagles, and my other 2 I never saw because of the elevation. This one I saw the whole way, and it was far out. Green was up to the right, landed, and just rolled across the green in. It was awesome. My other one was on Netflix, but they never showed it, but they sent me the video. I was playing golf with Justin Rose. I was down below the sand. He was up because he drives a little bit further than me. And I eagled, but I didn't see it, but he saw it. So he kind of gave the play-by-play as it was coming in. And Netflix was there, but they ended up not showing it on Netflix. But they at least gave me the video.
Yeah.
Hey, what would Carl Yastrzemski put on the scorecard if he were Zach today?
2. Hey, I'd say I'm not counting that first one.
Where'd you play today?
I was Beaverbrook, which is my club in Leatherhead, England.
Let's go.
And the weather was what? What's the weather there?
Weather was good. I can't blame anything other than I'm on my phone too much on the golf course. I'm working, and that doesn't help. And I got a bad temper. Like, how you were in the pine tar incident?
That's you?
How I am. That's me after half my shots.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about your golf game. How far do you hit a drive? How far do you hit it?
If I get a hold of it, 260. I'd say my average is 240.
Okay, and then are you a good chipper?
That's the worst part of my game.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
Kevin's going to send you a quick video.
First thing I tell the caddy, don't get me inside 115 because I want to take a full swing, and that's my approach wedge. Like, don't give me any 60s, 70s, 80s. I like to swing.
Okay, what kind of clubs you use?
PXGs.
PXGs, and what kind of balls?
I kind of don't care.
Whatever.
So whatever.
Whatever somebody gives you.
Whatever someone gives me, or if I'm buying, I try and buy something a little bit different, like a Bridgestone. So when I'm looking for it, that's my ball because not everyone plays with Bridgestones.
Well, we got to get you some tailor-made balls with your custom logo on it.
100%.
With a McLaren car.
George got some from the TaylorMade rep, and he goes, Wardo, you think like the TaylorMade rep will maybe get me some more customized balls? So I texted TaylorMade rep. I go, George would like to inquire about.
I said, I'll pay for him if I have to.
Have you had some hole-in-ones?
The balls are probably already here. I asked him yesterday.
Have you had some hole-in-ones?
I got 5.
Imagine that.
I'm stuck on 4, Zach. I'm in a drought.
Zach, I had 3 in 1 year, 2 in a month on the same hole.
I'm not talking miniature golf. I'm talking 18 holes.
Number 11 at Mission Hills Country Club.
Wow.
I got 3 in a year, 2 in a month playing with the same group. You were in it one time.
I was in it one time.
Yeah. Little 8-iron from 160 yards, and it was downhill so you could see it land. And you hit it, and I'm going, oh, my God, that's right at it, boys. And sure enough, it rolls right in the hole. So I saw 3 of them. Yeah.
Wow. 3 in 1 year. That's big.
Yeah.
Have you played Augusta?
I played Augusta about 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. We're going to have to get out there.
I did birdie 12 there twice the same day.
I birdied
13.
No,
12.
I had there
10,
was the
11. No,
12's
12.
the little one.
12's the par 3.
Yeah.
I birdied it twice. The same. We played 27.
Yeah.
And I birdied it twice. They were long putts, about 15, 20-foot putts, but I made them.
I birdied, I think, is it 5? That's the
That's
par
the hardest
3?
hole in the course, isn't it?
Yeah. I had a good one there. I played from the back tees once. Forget it.
Will you bring your sticks when you go to the Austin Formula One?
100%.
Well,
100%.
Coming.
Yeah, 100%.
There's
some good golf out there.
There's some great golf. There's a new Discovery land property called Driftwood, and then there's Barton Creek, which is good.
Yep.
There's Austin Country Club, which is pure.
Played that.
Austin Golf, which is Crenshaw's place.
Hey, so Zach, when you go down there for the Formula One in Austin, what day will you get there? The race is on Sunday?
Oh, yeah, I'll get there on Wednesday. Most guests show up on Friday or Thursday, but I'll get there because it's busy. We have some big sponsors there. Dell's based there. So we'll do a lot of stuff with them. It's a big sponsor market. So I'll get in Tuesday, Wednesday. You guys should get in Thursday night, play Friday.
We might come in Monday or Tuesday and play golf for 3 days.
And golf. There you go. That's the best plan.
Yeah.
Because I'll be there. Yeah.
All right. What do you say we take it to the?
Should I hit him with the emergency 9 questions?
The emergency 9 questions. Yeah.
You ready for these, Zach?
I'm ready.
All right. Your favorite Formula One city?
Montreal.
Nice. What city should the novice fan go to if they've never been to a Formula One race?
A lot of them are good. So I'll break it down. I'll give you one in each region. Austin, if you're in the States. I mean, Miami's mega, Vegas is mega, but Austin's like a long, proper Formula One circuit versus street race. In Europe, British Grand Prix or Monaco. I mean, Monaco's the bucket list, but it's not the greatest race. It's actually probably the worst race, but arguably the greatest event. In Singapore, in Asia. It's a night race. It's cool, except it's hot.
Love that. All right. Other than Formula One racing, what's your favorite sport to play or watch?
Baseball, both.
Nice.
Wow.
No wonder.
Definitely.
All right.
Problem is you can't play it enough.
You got one weekend left in your life. What city are you going to go to for just a long weekend to hang out, dinners, the whole thing?
I know Italy's not a city. I would go Rome inside Italy.
Amazing. Give me one thing you would do different during your racing career.
Win more.
Yeah, same.
But you're so dependent upon your equipment. So my biggest challenge was I was never in the best equipment, or at least that's definitely the excuse you give regardless. Thing different, I would have liked to focus more, but I couldn't because I had to do my own sponsorship. You had drivers that showed up because they had family resources. I was worried about was my sponsor, TWA, did they get their parking passes while everyone else was in the debrief meetings? So I was never as focused as I'd like to be, as what I saw as the best athletes that I raced against. You definitely recognized, takes you a little bit of time, but to go like, no, I can't do what that guy does.
Hey, which, by the way, how did that work out for you?
It's okay, but it wasn't good on the ego. I raced professionally for 10 years, and I say the last 4, everyone was like, dude, you should quit racing and get into business. But when you're racing, that's not what you want to hear. But they were right.
All right. So the Netflix series has obviously been crazy big globally. What's one thing that's changed racing from that Netflix series, or something that's changed your life?
It's brought in the audience that we need. It did 3 things. I know it's one question, but I'll give you a few answers. It brought in North America, which Formula One needed. It brought in women and youth. So that's what the impact Netflix has had on the sport, which is what it needed from an audience standpoint. For me, people that know Formula One, you have a celebrity status, if you'd like, in that world. But then with Netflix, it's just blossomed. So I'll tell a funny story. I'm staying at the hotel in New York, show up, and it looks like there's either a rock band or a sports team, and these fans lined up. George, you would have seen this 1,000 times, where everyone knows where the team's staying. So I show up, I come in, I'm staying there. I see if I'm not paying attention. I don't know if it's Rolling Stones or what have you. Get changed, get in the elevator, 2 guys, 7'4". So it's like, oh, it's clearly a basketball team here. I'm just being humorous. I'm like, hey, you guys here for the tennis tournament? And these guys look at me like, should we just kick this guy's ass now? I mean, they were nice, but I'm sure that's what they thought. I don't recognize them. I'm not a basketball guy. I get out of the elevator. We're all walking out. Fans everywhere. Lakers shirts everywhere. All right, it's the Lakers. Walking out with these 2 guys. They won't sign for anyone. They're polite. Just, I got to get to the bus. And we walk out that front. There's all these fans. And 3 fans jump out. Can we get your autograph? And no, not you. Mr. Brown, we love Formula One. And you guys look at me, and they were like, who the hell is this guy? Like,
That's great.
It was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Your favorite course to play back home?
I love playing at my home course, Beaverbrook, but I'll say like Adair, which is up in Ireland, which I think is holding maybe the Ryder Cup in the next time around in Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
Well, next time. Yeah.
All right. Favorite golf course in the world, excluding Augusta?
It's definitely not Pine Valley, because that was the hardest place I've ever played in my life. And I hate it because of it. But what an unbelievable course. Well, you got to be good to play there. I like the Arizona stuff. I like, because I got married out there. My wife's from Phoenix. Greyhawk.
Yeah. We played there at my wedding.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. I don't know. I haven't played for 30 years there, or 26 years, how long we've been married, but that was a really cool course. I think Arizona's got some awesome courses.
Are you ever planning on getting back to Arizona?
100%.
Like what time of year would you go?
It's usually the cool time of the year. I would not dare to go there in May to August.
September, yeah.
But both sides of that, definitely.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time down there. I have a home down there. I'm a member at Whisper Rock, which is Greg Trias's course, and Greg's the guy that started Greyhawk. So he took Greyhawk and he made it even better at Whisper Rock. So the next time you're there, we got to go out and play.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
He just bought the lot behind him too, so he's going to have a nice guest quarters for you.
Chipping green.
Sure. For you, not for him, but for you.
All right, last question of this emergency 9. George is caddying. Give us your dream foursome. Anyone living or deceased?
No, we got to go living.
All right, living.
Let's just
go. Got to go living.
Well, Dennis Rodman just died. That was.
Get out of here.
Did he?
When?
Maybe that was an April Fool's thing.
Are you going to start that now?
I don't know. Well, I know Iceman did.
A living.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
George is caddying, and he's a hell of a caddy.
I would rather caddy than play, Zach.
That's a good question. That's a difficult question. Who would that want to be? A president. I won't get in trouble and pick any particular one.
EJT.
Ooh, that's a really good, especially the living part. Very
Okay,
fortunate.
they can be dead.
Okay, they can be dead. Okay, they'd be
Go
dead.
ahead.
Well, then I'm going to go back into my historical because I love
Yeah, do that.
history. I love history. So I would go George Washington, definitely. So there's my president.
It's a shitty chipper like you.
He's a shitty chipper. I'd go Ty Cobb.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'd go Ty Cobb. I would go Winston Churchill.
Oh,
I like history. I like Paul. And Al Capone.
Why Al Capone?
So I've got historical documents. I like collecting baseball, hockey, and historical documents. And I've got presidents, prime ministers, but I've got a mafia collection.
No way.
And I like mafia movies and all that stuff. So I've got Gotti and Capone and Bugsy Siegel. And it'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah,
So anyways, before we go, I just got to explain one thing, Zach. For
Yeah.
people starting to watch this, we were all dressed in something different. I don't think you were wearing your San Francisco Giant or Baltimore Oriole top
Yeah.
or your McLaren top.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was wearing. I doubt if I'm wearing
I
the
think
same
I'm wearing
thing.
the same uniform.
So we did this show we started about 2 weeks ago, and then we had a week ago, and then we had some issues here, technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We filmed this in an old bank vault, and it's pretty awesome. And something went wrong, and so you were gracious enough to take time out of your busy schedule to come back on with us a week later. So thank you for doing that.
On a Friday freaking night.
Yeah, on a Friday night, and it's
all good. I appreciated the chat. I want to, before we close, who would be your four dead?
Oh gosh.
Well, or they could be alive,
Alive. Well, I would say my good friend Rush Limbaugh. I'd love to play with him again. And he had a very special relationship. I was playing with Rush at Trump's course in Florida. And this is when Trump was president. And he called Rush, and Rush was talking to him on the phone. He said, "Here, talk to George real quick. I got to go hit." So I would love to hear that conversation between Rush and him. Be a fly on the wall for that. That's two. Wow. I think probably my brother Ken, my brother Ken, who I lost years and years and years ago to a brain tumor. I would love to play with him. He wasn't very good. He had a terrible short game, but God, he could hit a 4-iron 260 yards. You know, he just unbelievable. And I guess the last one would be, oh God, trying to think somebody alive besides the president.
Pete Rose is off your list.
Yeah, I lost it. Oh, Mickey Mantle, because I had numerous opportunities to go down to Joplin, Missouri, where he had his golf tournament every year. And Hank Bauer, one of Mickey's best friends, would always say, "George, come on down and play in this tournament. Mickey wants you to play." And I'd say, "I'll do it next year. I'm too busy. And guess what happened? Mickey passed away, and I never got a chance to meet him.
Oh, you never got a chance to meet him?
Never got a chance to meet him.
I told you guys my Mickey Mantle story.
Yeah.
So you need to Google
Mickey
Mantle lewd letter.
Lewd letter.
I bought it, and it's hanging on that wall there.
Oh, is that the one where they asked him what's his favorite memory of being a Yankee?
Stadium.
And he said he got something from some fan in the bullpen, right?
It's hanging right there.
No way.
It was. I've been wanting to tweet it out, but you can't because
exactly.
It's a bit inappropriate. But what a legendary letter.
Yep, that's a good one.
Where did you get that?
Letter.
An auction?
That came up at Leland's auction about 2 years ago, and it's just priceless, right? I mean, it's great. It's funny.
Sure.
That's unbelievable. Zach, thanks so much again.
Yeah,
as George said.
Thanks so much.
Good luck
My
on the
pleasure.
project.
Hey,
The house project.
and go McLaren. Go McLaren. Hey,
100%.
you got 3 new fans right here.
I like it. And
We're all
Austin's
in.
going to be fun.
All right.
Thanks so
go
much,
to
Zach.
Zach.
Appreciate
Good
you,
stuff,
buddy.
See you guys.